Scarface is a 1983 American crime drama film directed by Brian De Palma and written by Oliver Stone. The movie is a remake of a 1932 film of the same name. However, De Palma's version has a more modern take and was set in Miami, Florida during the 1980s. The movie stars Al Pacino as Tony Montana, a Cuban refugee who arrives in Miami in the 1980s with nothing but his determination to succeed. Montana quickly rises through the ranks of the drug trade, becoming a powerful figure in the criminal underworld. Along the way, he becomes embroiled in a violent and dangerous world of drug trafficking, money laundering, and organized crime. Plot: the film opens with a group of Cuban refugees arriving in Miami during the Mariel boat lift in 1980. Among them is Tony Montana, starring Al Pacino, a hot-headed and ambitious young man with dreams of wealth and power. Along with his friend Manny Rivera, starring Stephen Bauer, Tony is determined to make something of himself in America. Omar Suarez, played by F. Murray Abraham, hires Tony and Manny to kill a former politician at a refugee camp, and in return, they are given green cards. They find work as dishwashers at a restaurant, but Tony is not satisfied with the job. Through Omar, Tony and Manny land their first drug deal. They are supposed to buy 2 kilos of cocaine from a Colombian seller. The deal doesn't go as planned, but Tony and Manny manage to survive. Omar's boss, Frank Lopez, starring Robert Loggia, is pleased with Tony's performance. After being recruited by a local drug lord, Frank Lopez, Tony and Manny begin to work their way up the ranks of the drug trade in Miami. Tony's ambition and ruthless tactics quickly earn him a reputation as a dangerous man to cross, and he begins to rise through the ranks of the cartel. Along the way, he meets and falls in love with Lopez's beautiful and aloof wife, Elvira, starring Michelle Pfeiffer. Frank sends Tony and Omar to Cochabamba, Bolivia, to meet with cocaine kingpin Alejandro Sosa, starring Paul Shenar. During the meeting, Omar is unhappy when Tony negotiates a large deal without Frank's approval. Sosa later kills Omar in front of Tony and tells Tony that Omar was a police informant. Tony vouches for Frank's organization. Sosa takes a liking to Tony and agrees to the deal, but warns Tony to never betray him. Frank is appalled by Tony's drug deals with Sosa and Omar's murder. The relationship between Tony and Frank deteriorates, and Tony starts to conduct drug deals independently, leading to new problems with police corruption. Tony also intensifies his advances towards Elvira. Frank eventually attempts to kill Tony but fails. In retaliation, Tony kills Frank and takes Elvira and the entire drug business for himself. Things are going well between Tony and Sosa. Money is pouring in, but Tony's biggest problem becomes money laundering. There is just too much money, and a reliable money laundering channel is expensive. Tony decides to try an unknown and cheaper channel, which turns out to be a trap set up by fake police officers to catch him. Tony is charged with serious money laundering offenses and faces a prison sentence. Sosa offers a solution to Tony's problem but demands a favor in return, killing a politician in New York. Tony agrees, but the assassination attempt fails due to Tony's actions. Sosa becomes angry with Tony. Upon returning to Miami, Tony discovers that Elvira has left, and he cannot find Manny. Tony eventually finds Manny at his home, where his sister Gina, played by Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, is also present. Tony becomes protective of his sister and kills Manny, only to learn that Gina and Manny had gotten married. Tony returns to his mansion, where Sosa's men are already attacking to kill him. A gunfight ensues, and Tony's bodyguards are quickly killed. With bullets flying, Tony fights alone to the bitter end until he dies from gunshot wounds. The production of Scarface was a long and tumultuous process. Director Brian De Palma was initially reluctant to take on the project, but eventually agreed due to his interest in the character of Tony Montana. Oliver Stone's screenplay went through several rewrites before being finalized. The film was shot on location in Miami, Florida and Los Angeles, California. The casting process was also a challenge, with many actors passing on the role of Tony Montana before it was offered to Al Pacino. The film's violent content and controversial subject matter also made it difficult to secure financing and a distribution deal. Post-production on Scarface involved extensive editing and reshoots. The film's original ending was changed to the iconic final scene in which Montana faces down a group of assassins in a bloody shootout. Overall, Scarface was a critical and commercial success, grossing over $65 million at the box office. It has since become a cultural phenomenon, with Montana's character becoming a pop culture icon and the film inspiring countless parodies and homages. The soundtrack for Scarface was composed by Italian musician Giorgio Moroder and features several popular songs of the time, including Push It to the Limit by Paul Engemann, as well as the instrumental theme, Tony's Theme. The soundtrack won a Golden Globe for Best Original Score in a Motion Picture. Scarface is known for its use of special effects, particularly during the final shootout scene. The film used a combination of practical effects and miniature models to create the explosive finale. Scarface was released in December 1983 and was initially met with mixed reviews. However, it quickly gained a cult following and has since become a classic of the gangster film genre. The film was met with mixed reviews upon its initial release, with some critics praising its depiction of the rise and fall of a gangster while others criticized its violence and portrayal of Cuban immigrants. It has since become regarded as a classic of the genre, with many critics praising Al Pacino's performance as Tony Montana. Scarface has had a significant impact on popular culture and has been referenced and parodied in numerous films, television shows, and songs. Its iconic poster, featuring Al Pacino with his face partially obscured by the film's title, has become a cultural touchstone. While Scarface has not spawned any direct sequels, it has been the inspiration for numerous films, television shows, and video games. The original theatrical release of Scarface had a running time of 170 minutes. A heavily edited version was released for television and home video, which cut out several scenes of graphic violence and drug use. The film has since been restored to its original length and is widely available in various home video formats. 15 interesting facts about Scarface movie. 1. The film is a remake of the 1932 movie of the same name, which was based on the life of Al Capone. 2. The screenplay was written by Oliver Stone, who spent months researching the drug underworld in Miami. 3. The movie was initially given an X rating due to its violence, but it was later changed to an R rating after director Brian De Palma appealed the decision. 4. The iconic line, "Say hello to my little friend," was improvised by actor Al Pacino during filming. 5. The film's budget was $25 million, which was considered very high at the time. 6. Scarface was a box office success, grossing over $65 million worldwide. 7. The film's soundtrack was composed by Giorgio Moroder, and features songs by various artists, including Debbie Harry and Amy Holland. 8. Scarface has become a pop culture icon, referenced in numerous songs, movies, and TV shows. 9. The movie's final scene, in which Tony Montana is killed, was almost cut from the film because studio executives felt it was too violent. 10. A video game adaptation of Scarface was released in 2006. 11. Even though the movie takes place in Miami, almost the entire movie was filmed somewhere else than Miami. Tony's house as such does not exist. The portion visible on the outside is partially found in LA, but all the interior shots were done in the studio. Lopez's house can be found in Florida as it was in the movie. 12. Scarface was the first movie where the muzzle flame of the gun was synchronized with the camera shutter. 13. Tony's M16A1 assault rifle with M203 rifle grenade launcher in the closing scenes is the same one used in Clint Eastwood's Heartbreak Ridge, 1986, and Schwarzenegger's Predator, 1987. The real M203 launcher was not available for the film, so replicas were made for the film. There were quite a few of these, bad-looking, replicas, and they have appeared in many 1980 to 90 films. 14. Robert De Niro was slated for the role of Tony, who refused the role, and with that the role fell to Pacino. 15. Michelle Pfeiffer, who played Elvira, was not wanted by Al Pacino in the film. The original choice for Elvira had been Glenn Close. Other options included Geena Davis, Carrie Fisher, Kelly McGillis, Sharon Stone and Sigourney Weaver.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more interesting videos and don't forget to press like button and share.